At first glance, it might seem that the Maduro government is in dispute with one country and one country alone, the United States. But in fact, President Maduro has problematic relations with plenty of other nations, including all 27 member states of the European Union. Since 2019, the EU, like the US, has formally backed the claim of opposition leader Juan Guaidó to the presidency. It's imposed individual sanctions, including travel bans, on several senior members of the Maduro leadership, and it's instigated an arms embargo. Those sanctions were renewed on Thursday. This was Maduro's reaction.
The European Union is stuck on Donald Trump's behind and automatically continues with its cruel, ruthless and failed policy against Venezuela.
The president does tend to portray any criticism from Europe as evidence that the bloc is following Washington's instructions. But actually, there are important differences between the attitude of the EU and that of the US.
European diplomats have had a much more pragmatic approach to the Venezuela crisis than their American counterparts.
So, for example, while the US has broken diplomatic relations with the Maduro government, European nations still maintain embassies in Caracas, even though they don't recognize Maduro as president. And in September, a mission from the EU came to Venezuela to try to reach an agreement with Maduro to hold free and fair parliamentary elections. That mission failed, though Europe's foreign policy chief said it was still worth trying. But a challenge now confronts the EU. Will it be able to maintain unity amongst all its members and continue this unusual policy of recognising what it calls an interim government that still has no power?
I think we've seen much more willingness, for example, from the Germans to adopt an approach that's more in line with the US position, which is to say that Juan Guaidó is the legitimate president of Venezuela until free and fair elections can be held. Whereas I think some other countries like Spain, Portugal, Italy will couch their language in sort of a more cautious framing.
The diplomacy is, in the words of one European diplomat, complicated and without any obvious resolution. Stephen Gibbs, CGTN.